Joining me now is Nick Holscher. Let's do an update on the Biolab out of Vegas, the Biolabs all over the U.S., and then let's talk about the WHO issues an alert on Nipah virus outbreak. And again, a lot of this has been hype, but now it's starting to become, wait a minute. Could this be something? Particularly with all of the biolabs, the leaking, and the engineering that's going on, gain of function, etc. Joining me now is Nick Holscher, the administrator of the McCullough Foundation. Nick, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go right away to the Nipah virus thing. WHO issues alert as Nipah virus outbreak prompts quarantines throughout Asia. Are you following this? And again, I know it's been a big nothing burger up till now, but is it starting to be of concern, particularly if they're got any kind of gain of function going on?
Yeah, so regarding this situation, the India Nipah virus situation that's been all over the news for the past few weeks, that in particular is a nothing burger. There was only 2 confirmed cases. It was contained a few weeks ago, and we have not seen any other cases since. And so I'm not concerned about natural Nipah viruses adapting to humans and spreading. That's very, very unlikely. What I'm concerned about is the biosafety level 3 and 4 laboratories across the globe that are working and creating synthetic Nipah viruses. And so a recent study came out that found there are over 3,500 biosafety level 3 and biosafety level 4 biolabs across the globe, and 73% of them don't disclose what pathogens they're working on or their exact locations. So we don't know where 73% of these labs are, where they could be doing anything under the sun. 91% of countries with a BSL-3 lab don't have any dual-use research oversight, so nobody's looking to see if they're doing anything nefarious. And over about half of all of the global biolabs are in the United States. And so this is very, very worrisome. And now it's been revealed, apparently, that many of these labs are constructing Nipah viruses. They claim they're doing it for vaccines. They have patents on the Nipah virus proteins. They're already developing the mRNA injections for them. They are developing self-amplifying mRNA injections for them. And we have to remember over 300 lab leaks have occurred since 2001. And so, we got to watch out. We got to look and see what these undisclosed location labs are doing. And we got to put an end to all gain of function research. No more creating synthetic chimeric viruses. And we got to destroy all of these modified pathogens. We cannot have another man-made pandemic.
Well, can I play the skeptic for a moment? It seems to me if we don't know where these are, how do you find them and destroy them, number one? Number two, at this point, how do we know these haven't been sold off to some terrorist group, right? I mean, and then good luck finding those. It sounds to me that this isn't a matter of if, but when, that one of these labs is going to leak deliberately or accidentally, and we are going to have a problem. True or false?
It appears that could be true because this is the business model of the biopharmaceutical complex, to create the virus, release it, and then sell the countermeasure, which is even more dangerous. And so right. The same playbook can be repeated because nobody's been held accountable. They're the same individuals in these labs. They're still walking around. They're still doing gain of function research.
Las Vegas.
They're still developing deadly and dangerous gene transfer mRNA injections. And yeah, they'll do it again. Bill Gates consistently, he keeps going on podcasts warning there will be another pandemic. And he says this time it's going to be a bioterror attack. So they're going to admit it comes from a lab this time. And yeah, here in this video next to me, this was the illicit Las Vegas basement biolab. Federal authorities raided it last week. And thankfully, it doesn't appear there was anything too bad in there, just some containers, some mysterious liquids. People went in the garage and they reported feeling very sick. So, I mean, we really don't know what was in there, but this particular lab was linked to the Reedley Biolab in California, which was seized a few years ago, and they had Ebola. They had a freezer labeled Ebola. They had humanized mice. They had COVID-19. And so, you know, we don't know what the main threat's going to be, but it's either from a basement biolab like this or the government-funded, government-ran, and nonprofit-ran biolabs. Both of them pose similar risks.
So before we go to a clip of a congressman on the floor of the House regarding this, knowing what you know, how are you preparing? How are you preparing your family?
I'm preparing my family just by, first and foremost, being as healthy and fit as possible. Because if you are healthy and fit and not overweight and you don't have heart disease and high blood pressure, you will be able to fend off mostly any pathogen that comes at your way. So get as healthy as possible. You will be at utmost protected. But then also, it would be wise to have antiviral compounds on hand in case you do encounter any sort of biolab activities or any sort of biowarfare pathogens, such as basic things like vitamin C, zinc, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. All of these things that show potent antiviral activity were shown to work against SARS-CoV-2 in hundreds and hundreds of studies. So have that stuff on hand.
Before I talk about mRNA injections in meat that we are buying, I want to talk to you about that. My wife asked me to ask you about that. She's concerned, so I'll get to that. But first, here's a little bit from a Congressman Kevin Kelly, or Kiley, K-I-L-E-Y, from the 3rd District there in California. Listen to this.
That requires the immediate attention and immediate action from the United States Congress. An illegal biolab was just raided in Las Vegas, and it is directly linked to the secret Chinese biolab found in Reedley, California in late 2022. That lab was oozing with E. coli, HIV, malaria, and other dangerous pathogens. The lab just raided in Vegas was operated by the same LLC and same Chinese nationals as the one discovered in Reedley. Now, we know a lot about the one discovered in Reedley because I requested a report from the House of Representatives, an investigation which resulted in a report by the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party. And I want to share some of the details of that report, but I'll start with its conclusion that no one knows whether there are other unknown biolabs because there is no monitoring system in place. Those were the words of the Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party in 2023. Well, now we know there was at least one other such lab, but we still don't know how many others because the legislation, the bipartisan legislation that I have proposed with Representative Costa and Valadeo has not yet been passed. So here's what we learned about this lab that was discovered in Reedley and that has now had a counterpart discovered in Las Vegas. It was run by an international fugitive from China named Jesse Zhu. After running various state-connected companies in China, Zhu moved to Canada, where he set up dozens of corporations to, quote, steal valuable American intellectual property and unlawfully transfer it to China. The Supreme Court of British Columbia found he committed, quote, fraud on an epic scale, resulting in a $330 million judgment. He then fled to America, assumed an alias, David He, and set up several more companies, including the one behind the Reedley Biolab and now the Vegas Biolab. He was indicted in 2023 and has been in federal custody ever since, but his partner and other associates have not been. Now, the Reedley lab was discovered in December of 2022 when a code inspector came upon a suspicious warehouse. Inside, she found many Chinese nationals wearing white lab coats, glasses, masks, and latex gloves, along with thousands of vials of biological substances and 1,000 mice. It was later learned these were transgenic mice, genetically engineered to catch and carry the COVID-19 virus. A further inspection found blood, tissue, and other bodily fluid samples and serums, along with thousands of vials of, quote, suspected biological material. Some of the vials were labeled with the names of infectious agents, while others were labeled in a code that was never deciphered. Now, at first, the CDC, this was during the Biden administration, refused to investigate, and they even hung up on local officials who asked for help. After Representative Costa got involved, the CDC did an inspection and found at least 20 potentially infectious agents, including HIV, tuberculosis, and the deadliest known form of malaria. Yet, the CDC did not bother to test any samples, even those with unknown contents, making it, quote, impossible for the Select Committee to fully assess the potential risks that this specific facility posed to the community. The Select Committee report calls this baffling. Later, local officials discovered a refrigerator in the lab labeled Ebola. Now, while the supposed purpose of the lab was to sell test kits, in fact, all the company did was buy counterfeit kits from China and resell them in the United States.
All right, let's hold it there. And that's a 7-minute speech.
Yeah.
We are so vulnerable, right? And if that one wasn't bad enough in Reedley, now we got Vegas. We got your report now over at the focalpoints.com. 73% don't disclose their locations or pathogen activity, 73%. And the bulk of these level 4 are in the U.S. And apparently
half of the BSL-3s are in the U.S. Yeah. And most of the BSL-4s. So yeah, we are loaded with labs here from both, these fraudster Chinese nationalists coming here to, do who knows what. So obviously he was very dangerous. Thankfully, his laboratory complex was caught. But honestly, the risk he posed is nothing like the risk the over almost 2,000 American government-run biolabs pose. Because they're literally creating viruses, like they're creating new pathogens to use for vaccines, and these can all leak out of their labs. They're not very contained very well, and we have to remember most of these labs are in population centers, and so yeah, there needs to be a serious crackdown on these biolaboratories.
Are you shocked we haven't had another, quote, pandemic? And number one, are you shocked we haven't already had one? Number two, are you expecting one?
I don't want to have to say yes, we're going to have another pandemic. And, I think there's a future where we will not. If we do the right things and stop all of these illicit activities, both so-called legal by the government and by these seemingly bioterrorists. And so I think there's a way out and we can prevent it. Now, if we do nothing, hold nobody accountable, let them continue running their experiments and making money from experimental injections, then yeah, we will probably have another one by the same criminals.
All right, let's go to the question my wife wants answered tonight. She said, ask Nick about buying meat. Do I have to worry about mRNA in the meat I'm buying?
The meat I'm most concerned about now that's verifiably concerning is pork products. Because currently, or actually for the past 10 years, nobody really knows this, but for the past 10 years, pigs bred for human consumption are injected with Merck's Sequivity RNA particle injections. This is a gene-based platform, and so it appears that pork may be contaminated with these RNA particles. We don't know which particular pork products. I would suspect ones that come not cooked. And so I would ensure if you buy ham, if you buy even bacon, pork chops, sausages, hot dogs, just make sure they're cooked adequately, and then I would suspect that should remove any residual RNA particles, or at least degrade them. But it may be wise to reconsider eating pork given what they're being injected with.
Okay, let's see. Is there any other articles over at thefocalpoints.com that you want to highlight tonight?
Yes, there's a few others recently. The CDC, you see that CDC study there. This really went under the radar. And so what this study did in particular was the CDC looked at 8,000 pregnant women, and they compared their outcomes to let me restart that. They compared 8,000 vaccinated pregnant women to 8,000 unvaccinated pregnant women. And so when comparing the vaccinated to the unvaccinated pregnant women, they found a 24% higher risk among vaccinated pregnant women of developing hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, which is one of the leading causes of fetal death and maternal death. And so the mom can die, they get a hypertensive crisis, the baby can die. And so basically what's happening is the mRNA shots that the CDC and other organizations told pregnant women to get increase the risk of a leading cause of fetal and maternal death. And so this should be front page news everywhere. It's coming from the CDC's own mouth, their own study, and I haven't seen anyone else reporting on it.
Wow. Well, that's what we do here. We report on stuff first, hopefully. There it is, thefocalpoints.com, thefocalpoints.com. And as always, Nick, we appreciate all the work you guys are doing over there at the McCullough Foundation. So thanks for being with us again tonight. Look forward to our next visit.
Thanks for having me.